What's going on, YouTube? This is SG1 Sports, and you're watching our Pac-12 football channel. Our 2019 college football schedule previews continue with the UCLA Bruins in Chip Kelly's second season. They look to make a big jump. There was a lot of hype about him coming to UCLA. Thought last season was going to go a lot better, but they just went 3-9. It was a struggle. They had a brutal schedule, and you can see it's going to take some time to transition into the Chip Kelly style of a team. Will they be able to do that in 2019? They bring most everyone back, a lot of production back on this roster. They didn't have a great recruiting class, a little bit underwhelming there. I was surprised that they did not do better, especially when you look at recent history. UCLA's been able to recruit pretty well. So I was surprised there, but perhaps it's just Chip Kelly finding players to fit his system, not necessarily going after the most talented players. But again, can they get to a bowl game? That's going to be, I think, a goal for 2019. I don't think you're going to get things turned around in just 2 seasons and start competing for championships. That's just my opinion. You look at the schedule, and there's good news and there's bad news. Let's start with the good news. They don't play Oregon or Washington out of the North. That's, to me, that's as good as it gets. Those are the 2 best teams in the North. You avoid those 2 teams. Instead, you just play Washington State, Oregon State, Stanford, and Cal. Now, you would like to maybe get Washington State or Stanford at home. They play both of them on the road, so that's a little bit of bad news. But the other bad news is really the non-conference schedule, because they face Cincinnati on the road, a team that beat them last year, a team that's going to be good this year. Then they face San Diego State, a team that has become a powerhouse when you talk about group of 5 teams. And then, of course, they play Oklahoma, a playoff contender. So you're looking at 3 really tough non-conference games. And honestly, if you win 1 out of 3, that's a decent job, because, again, these are going to be tough games to win. So that's the bad news. Good news, again, is their conference schedule couldn't be any better, unless you maybe wanted to change some of the home and away games. So after the 3 non-conference games, they face Washington State, Arizona on the road, both of those games on the road, Oregon State on the road at Stanford, Arizona State at home, Colorado on the road at Utah, and on the road at USC. So they have, again, back-to-back road games there. And then they finish out with Cal at home in a game that perhaps could determine who goes to a bowl game. Maybe both of those teams go to that game with just 5 wins. The winner goes to a bowl game, loser stays at home. Just a possibility there. And then again, you look at the schedule, and with every team we go through and we give you the easy wins. We give you the games that the team should win, no doubt about it. Pretty much guaranteed wins. And you look at the schedule for UCLA, their easiest game is probably going to be Oregon State, and that's a conference game. I'm not going to give a team like UCLA an automatic win over a Pac-12 team. I'm just not going to do that. So, yeah, I think every game on this schedule they could potentially lose. Now, they're not going to go 0-12. They're not going to lose every game, but every game will be a fight. Every game will be tough for them to win. And, again, it could be another rough season for UCLA just because of the schedule. We talk about best and worst case scenarios. I think best case scenario, you win 2 out of 3. They're not going to beat Oklahoma, let's just be honest. So let's say they beat Cincinnati and San Diego State. They split Washington State and Arizona. They beat Oregon State. They split Stanford and Arizona State. They beat Colorado. Then they maybe split Utah, USC, and beat Cal. That gets you to 8 wins. So I think 8 wins would be just an absolutely phenomenal season. That is best case scenario, in my opinion. On the flip side, you look at the worst case scenario for this team. They could lose to Cincinnati. They could lose once again to Oklahoma. Let's just find the wins. Let's say they're probably going to beat San Diego State. Let's say they win that game. Probably going to beat Oregon State. Arizona State, Colorado, 2 home games. Let's say they win one of those and they beat Cal to close out the season. So I think they can get to 4 wins. But to me, that's worst case scenario. So I think they finish between 4 and 8 wins. And I realize that is a really, really wide margin. Again, we're talking about anywhere from 4-8 to 8-4. I don't know if we've had a team. I think we may have had a few teams where the gap was that wide. But it's just the fact that, again, they could win most of these games and they could lose most of these games. So we really don't know. We don't know how good UCLA is going to be. We don't know how good a lot of these other teams are going to be, like Arizona State. How good are they going to be? USC, are they going to get it turned around? Cal's a team we don't know a whole lot about right now. Arizona, another team. So there are just so many teams on this schedule that could be really tough for UCLA to beat, or they could be pretty easy wins for UCLA. We really just don't know about those teams, and again, we don't know about UCLA at this point. So that's why the margin is so wide. Again, I think they improve, at least get to 4-8. That is the worst case scenario, but I think 8-4 is possible if everything goes their way, and some of these teams maybe aren't as good as they were last year. So if you're looking for a middle ground there, 6-6 I think would be a pretty fair projected record for UCLA. Again, I think it's a successful season if they get to a bowl game. It is not a great season if they don't get to a bowl game. Again, this is Chip Kelly's second season. He really needs to get this team to a bowl game. 6-6 with this schedule, I think, is pretty good. And again, it could be worse. They could have to face Washington and Oregon, and if they had to play those teams instead of, say, Oregon State and Cal, I think it would be very, very tough for UCLA to get to a bowl game. But I think without those two teams on there, I think they have a real shot to get there. Again, some tough matchups here. Washington State and Arizona back-to-back road games. Utah and USC back-to-back road games. They really need to go on a nice run from Oregon State to Colorado. Those 4 games in a row, you really need to win at least 3 out of those 4 games. I think that would give them a great shot to get to a bowl game. And then also need to beat at least one of those first 3 opponents in the non-conference. So thank you for watching this video. If you're a Pac-12 football fan, please subscribe to the channel. Leave us your thoughts down in the comments below. And for the latest in Pac-12 football, keep it right here.